into turn number 1. Scott Gordonier, race director, ready. He'll point him to the grid lines. And for the USA final, for the adults, 10 laps. And the U.S. top honor on the line. Green flag in the air. We're racing up the hill for the first time. And it's a good start for the inside lane, but a decent one for the outside. Looks like most of the field got away cleanly. And now the question is, how do they filter out? One driver a little bit up the berm at the exit of turn number 3. Still 2 and 3 abreast further back in the bus stop. But your top 7 or so are single file as they work their way out of turn number 4 on this opening lap here.
We touched on it during qualifying, Xander. Part of it is you don't really know what go-kart you're going to get. Maybe you get lucky, you get the same go-kart you've had throughout the weekend, but in this situation, it's the first time you're driving this new go-kart. You get an outlap to kind of feel it out, and then into turn number 1, 2, and 3, you're kind of getting the first real feel for the kart you have drawn at full song here. So now, halfway through lap number 1, and it's the 2 drivers that put the only 1/17th of the day sitting 1 and 2 at the moment. Further back, look at this group of go-karts. This is a battle for 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th. Side by side up the hill. And while this is great racing to watch, it's costing them all lap time and track time. Here we go. Battle for 3rd is raging on as well. Yeah. 3 wide further back. The 49 gets into it there a little bit. You see hands in the air for both drivers, but unfortunately it's one of the situations where just miscalculated the entry to turn number 11. Again, we're 3 wide down towards turn number 12. And onto the front straightaway to complete lap number 1 in the books. It's a 2-kart breakaway out front. Look at this group. So that's Oates defending from Reynolds. That's Greer getting around Daniel Millian there for 5th.
And we're only on lap 2. You know, it's a short race in general. You know, it's a 10 lap all-out sprint for the national championship. But being realistic, unless the leaders with Giovanni and Garrett going at it hard, this is going to be a battle for that last transfer spot.
On these go-karts, but still... First lap, a little bit of nerves, I'm sure, and a lot of aggressive driving here back at the final hairpin before the long straightaway. 2 drivers with that probably had an opportunity to maybe escape the fray. I don't know if that'll be Teddy Oates and Brendan Reynolds. Let's see it to the final turn. Still more contact to the last corner. Turning into each other, side by side, the 16 of Teddy Oates and indeed the 52 of Brendan Reynolds. 3rd and 4th colliding as they go up the hill. They're still going to stay side by side. This could end up a little bit tough. And here comes 5th on the line. Jaden Martinez out of the B group to the bumper now with an opportunity to get that 3rd spot, the first on the final one on the podium. He'll drive into the side of Brendan Reynolds. They're 4 wide to the bus stop coming out of turn 4.
We talked about what would drivers do for money. What would they do for the transfer slot to even have a chance at money? Unbelievable stuff here. Brendan Reynolds on the 52 machine now having to fend off the likes of Jaden Martinez, Ben Braley, Connor Greer, Daniel Millian, and more. This group is growing. It's down to 7 drivers here for the cutoff point for that 3rd and final transfer spot to get into the World Championships. And again, another driver facing the wrong direction there. Yeah, they're racing for the national championship, but all they're really thinking about is that World Championship race later on this afternoon. Those 2 drivers know at this point, barring any mistakes, they're safely in. This is the battle for the transfer spot, and again, getting a little bit hairy on the brake zone there, maybe moving over a little more than you're allowed to, but we'll let it go here. Brendan Reynolds now around Terry Oates. He's the first driver in, or last driver in, sorry, into that 3rd and final transfer spot. We're only 4 laps in. We're just starting the 4th lap here of a 10-lap main event here. You would think this is for the world title. You would think there was money on the line for this one.
Yeah.
What a late lunge there from Terry Oates as well. He'll reclaim 3rd.
Yeah, contact a little bit more contact now as more drivers get into it. Jaden Martinez into the side of Teddy Oates, dropping down the S's, and now joining the battle with a bit more contact that Martinez will end up on the receiving end of through the accordion. Look to be Ben Braley, Giovanni Perez out of Phoenix, Arizona, trying to punch his ticket to that World Championship final, and along with that, win the USA final en route. The battling still rolling on. Now behind the number 6 of Ben Braley. He gets away into 4th, and they're door-to-door. Martinez on the inside in the white helmet to the outside. I believe is Teddy Oates. He's going to let them both by. Both Teddy Oates going, Martinez going by, and Connor Greer in the number 2, although he'll keep the fight going as they charge up the hill.
It's this driver right here, Ben Braley, on board the 6 machine. I don't think he's made a pass in the last 2 laps. He's just taking advantage of everyone else's chaos. He's got a shot now to transfer into the World Championship. And yeah, here it is. The 21 of Daniel Millian. Slight cosmetic issues there. It won't really affect the performance of the go-kart, but it just, again, makes you wonder what he did to kind of make that happen.
I don't know, Frankie, what do you think? That dragon on the left rear with a predominantly right-hand corner racetrack, that could affect him. Even with the banking, he won't be able to jack the inside tire nearly as good as some of his competitors. It'll dig in. White flag in the air. This will do it. Giovanni Perez, 1.8 seconds out. They were originally scheduled for 10 laps. Ben Braley fighting for his life, trying to get up to Brendan Reynolds. But he may just unfortunately run out of time here, fellas.
Yeah, Ben Braley putting together two of the fastest laps we've seen all day long, a 17.3 and a 17.2. He's almost a second faster than the drivers up front right now, but I want to say, barring any heroics into the final couple of corners here, is going to fall a couple of laps short. Here's a good look at your front runners, Giovanni Perez, Garrett Maines. These two safely in. For this driver on your screen, the 22 of Giovanni Perez, he can now say he's a national champion here in the United States.
National champion Giovanni Perez brings the crowd to their feet, and across the line, Garrett Maines to join him on the podium, and Brendan Reynolds provisionally in third to get that final transfer spot to the World Championship. A valiant effort at the end here for Ben Braley.
I mean, this means everything. This is what we've been training for this whole year, and I mean, I got to owe it to everybody at K1 Speed Phoenix, too, for helping me build my skills and build to get here. So I'm not just representing myself and my family, I'm representing all those guys as well.
One more time here for our top three adult finishers here in the United States Championship that will go on to compete against our international drivers shortly.
It is time. The K1 Speed World Championship, an entire day of racing, an entire year of qualifying to get to be here, has now boiled down to the best 12 adult K1 drivers from around the world. The top three from the USA final earlier today, and the rest from Puerto Rico, Mexico, Canada, all here this weekend representing their countries. 8 laps decide who becomes the 2025 K1 World Champion, who walks away with $25,000. And we're underway for the K1 World Championship. It's a great start for Giovanni. They're side by side behind him up the S's, battling for second and 3 wide at the back of the field there for 8th, 9th, and 10th. But Giovanni Perez is already up and away with a decent gap, and they're still going to continue to go at it. They're back for P2. A big send at the end of the straightaway takes them both wide. It'll hurt the momentum a little bit of the 19 machine. He'll drop to third, but your leader's got a couple car lengths already. We know how fast he was in the qualifying sessions. This is the last thing you want to do, fellas, is let the fastest driver get away early. He's got a healthy gap here as they run through the infield, Alex.
Garrett Maines, the fastest driver from the second qualifying session. He finds himself P2. It's a 3-kart group behind Giovanni Perez, but you mentioned it. Just like we saw in qualifying 1, once he gets out up front, once he has clean air, he's able to put a couple of burners together. Starting to close the gap here for this battle for third. So this is the last step on the podium, and it's not just for a podium, not just for a trophy. It's for $7,500 for third, $15,000 for second, and then obviously the $25,000 check for winning the world title.
Maines closed in that lap by 0.2 of a second. We've got a mano-a-mano fight out front here.
Garrett Maines, a different line than Giovanni Perez through the downhill S's. It's starting to work for Garrett Maines here. I find it really intriguing to see the different approaches through the racetrack and through the hairpin. Garrett Maines a lot more comfortable under the brake zones here on board that 15 machine compared to Giovanni Perez. And who knows, again, we've touched on it throughout the broadcast, throughout the day. Different go-karts, every time you get in, you have to get used to the different feel of it. They're all roughly the same thing, but sometimes you don't know who kind of beat and banged the go-kart ahead of you and maybe messed up a couple of things, maybe just treated it a little bit poorly. Nonetheless, out of turn number 11, what a run for Garrett Maines. Around the outside of Giovanni Perez, Maines takes the lead. He has one hand on the world title. There's still 5 laps to go, though. Giovanni Perez now, he's the one that has to regroup, recharge, and get after Garrett Maines. These two guys right now are a one step above the rest of the field. No one close to the pace that these two are putting on at the moment. But for Nathan Wilkie for Canada, he's found himself up in the 3rd spot. So he right now stands on that final step of the podium for $7,500. But we're not going to look away from this fight right now. Garrett Maines over Gio Perez.
This is going to be a fight to the end here. We saw how quickly the draft was able to pull Mains in now. Giovanni, he takes a look over his shoulder. There's no help for him to be able to push back up. He'll have to will his way back to the lead, back to the fight for the World Championship, and he's watching that title begin to eke further into the distance. A great middle sector in the works here for Garrett Mains. He's opened the gap up. Had to get through the first lap safely. He did, and now it's about a 3 or 4 car length advantage. We're watching 4th, 5th, and 6th just off the podium there. In the middle of them looks to be Botello. He's lost that 4th spot. Might lose 5th here now in the infield hairpin, Frankie. About to go side by side with challenge and pressure from Tyler Illage. Not going to happen yet.
Yeah, Tyler Illage, Reynolds was right there, right behind Wilkie. I don't know what happened, that big battle that we saw coming out of the second to last corner just the lap before. I think it put him into that situation.
It'll be 3 laps to go this time by, 5 down. Look at the battle further back here, just outside the top 5, wheel-to-wheel action, and a big run down the back straightaway. They'll get fully clear.
It's going to take some late race heroics here for Gio Perez to make anything happen. Really just relying on a mistake mainly out of Garrett Mains, but he's looked picture perfect, hitting all of his marks at this point. We heard him in the interview after he finished second in the national title race earlier on today. He said, listen, I had to watch the interviews from the sidelines last year. He was just happy to finish on the podium of the A main. Now he has a chance with a couple more corners to go to be crowned a world champion.
At 23 years old, to qualify to get back here out of Virginia, the Richmond native was second in the state championship. He was once again just off the podium in the A final. But for the final time down the back straightaway, it looks still extremely good for Garrett Mains. The gap back to Giovanni Perez, well and good through that final turn to the line, this time by double checkers. Garrett Mains, your K1 world champion.
Further back, Gio Perez, P2. Nathan Wilkie, fist up in the air, $7,500 for the Canadian there. And I love to see the sportsmanship here from Gio Perez to Garrett Mains there. 25 grand for Garrett, $15,000 for Gio Perez, and a USA 1-2 here at K1 Circuit. And then Nathan Wilkie, your top 3.
One more lap around this beautiful facility that has provided so much action and such good racing. And the story for this 23-year-old Virginia native will now have a K1 World Championship attached to it.
All the way from Richmond, Virginia, USA, please welcome Garrett Mains.
Yeah, no. The whole thing.
It's kind of surreal. It's not really how I expected this weekend to go. I had a backup plan. I'm going to see some friends after this, but I'm really thankful to have all the support that I've had behind me this season with Wigan Water Technologies and Scott at MCU Body, Lennox. All those guys have been so instrumental in my racing career and how I've been able to get here. I started rental karting for fun, but I actually come from sim racing in reality, and that's where most of my experience has been. And the amount of support that I've had on that side and all the people that have helped me there have helped me get here. So